Evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's Scam Pro Audio webcast. Every now and then, our very own Simon Lyon, also known as the Ruthless Producer, does some of his Ableton seminars, and he'll put something together, a little film here and there for us. The last few have been attracting a huge amount of attention. In fact, the last one he did on Push, he's up to about 12,500 views. So this week, he's brought along Push, which is great. He's brought along his computer and Ableton, but he's also brought his guitar. Without further ado, Simon Lyon and Ableton Live.
Good evening, everybody. Cheers for the intro from Steve there. Nice to see you all tuning in. Just before I start, Steve mentioned I do things for Scan over here in Bolton. If you're in the Northwest and you need any help or you'd like an introduction to the Push, come down to the store and have a play, see what it can do, see if it's the right thing for you. Drop me a line at simon@scanproaudio.co.uk. That's simon@scanproaudio.co.uk. Drop me a line and book an appointment, basically. Come down to the store, have a go, see if it's for you. For everybody else, plenty of webinars and things going on for you. Tonight, I'm going to look at Ableton Live 9 and the Push, but concentrating more towards some of you that may play instruments. If you're a vocalist, if you're a guitarist, anybody that's creating live instruments. So rather than using samples, you're going to create your own. I'm going to use the audio to MIDI. So I'm going to straight away get on the guitar and show you how you can convert your own guitar performance into MIDI. So rather than using a controller or a MIDI keyboard, you're going to use the information from your playing. So you're going to use the pitch you've played, the velocity, how heavy you've played it, the basic groove of how you're playing, and you can then turn that into other instruments. So I'll just show you how to do it. I've got my guitar here and basically connected into an audio interface straight into the computer. So in order to do this, you do need an audio interface connected to your computer. It can be USB or FireWire. As long as it's got a jack input, have a look at the interfaces that Scan are doing. You really don't need anything too complicated, but it's all about getting the right, bringing down the latency, which is how fast basically your signal goes from here to the computer, so there's no lag or anything. So straight away, got my guitar there. If you go over to the screen here, I'm going to use a combination of over on the computer and onto Push. I use the Push to use the controls to it, but don't worry if you haven't got a Push. All of this you can do with your mouse. So I've got an audio channel here. This is just the basic default set open. I need to check my inputs and outputs, which is just over here on the right, if you can see that there. You can access this by doing the if you hold down Alt, Control, or Command if you're on a Mac, and press I, you can open the inputs and outputs. So that's just a good shortcut. If you hold Alt and Command down, you can get all different types of commands. But just shortcuts, it's helpful when you're demonstrating something, rather than going to click all the way over there. So I've got my inputs there, and number one, select that one is my guitar, and make sure you arm the channel. Okay, so arm the channel, just got guitar coming in on a clean sound. I'm going to use one of Ableton's amps, and if you go to audio effects, you've got an audio effect rack over here. This is the browser. Anybody that's new to this, do ask questions in the chat room. I'm just going to try and get through this and show you. Please ask questions, all right? So go to the audio effect rack, and there's an amp simulation over here. I'm going to use just a clean rhythm funk guitar. It just gives it a little bit of a amp and cabinet sound. So it's just nice and clean. And you can see here there's a combination of amps and there's an EQ. And it may seem all complicated, but what they've done for you is made it really easy and put these what are called macro controls there. So you can adjust the tone, the amount of gain, and stuff like that. So have a play around with those if you've got it at home. So I'm just going to put some guitar down. To make it easier, I'm going to play to a drum loop. So if I go onto my browser here, I've got some samples I've got ready, demo samples there. I'm just going to use drums. So if I just click on that, you get a preview of it. If you like that, you can either double click it or just drag it into any. If you drop an audio track even on a MIDI, it'll just turn into an audio track. So my tempo is currently set to 100. The great thing with Ableton Live is you can just tap the tempo. So you can either click there, so go 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's played at 115 if you play that now. So I put that on there. I don't really want anything too fast. So I'm going to play to that. Now the goal here is to play some chords. I'm just going to play, for those who know the chords, F sharp minor, A, E, B minor 7. Now I want those to be a kind of pad sound. So I'm not going to really strum them or anything. I'm just going to hold them down just for a bar or two, whatever. I'll just do whatever comes out and play it. I'll play the drums, keep me in time. So all I need to do now is arm one of these channels. I'll just do it here. Rather than use the push, I'll just do it. So this is playing. Once the channel's armed, they turn into circles. So I just hit one of those and it'll start playing. If I double click, you'll see there. That's my recording. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the guitar. I'll just do that around a couple of times. Really simple chords. Okay. So if I just press that play now, you can hear, there's my chords. I'm just going to bring that loop in there. So that'll play around. If I just mute that there. Now the idea is now, I'll just put my guitar down for a sec. Is those are your chords, and that's now audio. So it exists as a recording audio. What I want to do now is convert it into MIDI, which will turn it into individual notes and instructions that you can move around, change the sound, all that kind of thing. So if I press right mouse click now, since version 9 you've got these extra options which are convert harmony, melody and drums to new MIDI track. So we're looking at harmony because it's more than one note played at once, making chords. Melody we'll look at in a second, that's just single notes, and drums, it'll convert what you played into a drum kit. So we'll look at harmony. I press that there and straight away it just converts it and opens a new MIDI track. So that's my recording, and by default it plays it as a grand piano, which is one of Ableton's default sounds. If I just double click on the clip itself now, that was the one I recorded. I'm just going to stop that one and I'll stop the drums. Double click on it. So that's what it's converted it to. So if I press play, let's have a listen how it sounds. This is a piano. It's not too bad actually, that's pretty... Yeah, that's not bad. So what happens is, because it's a guitar, if you make any little movements or slips, I try to keep that as clean as possible to show you. But you get string noise, and when the computer's listening to that, it may convert some of that. This one's not particularly too bad. So if I press fold at the top here, it focuses on only the notes I've played. So if I press fold, it sort of compacts it there. So if you did have any stray notes, which I'll try and get some stray notes in the next bit, you can mute them here. So for example, if you have the monitor on there, if I click the highest note, which is A, you can hear whether there's notes in that key or not. So in this case, I think there's a wrong note there. So play it from the beginning. So that note there isn't in the chord. So I'm just going to get it and then press 0, and it will mute any G's that appeared in that. So now if I play it, it's a little nicer. That G isn't there basically. So there's my chord. So by default, it inserted a grand piano. I kind of like that because a piano give you sort of, you can hear the notes, check it's okay. You might want to move on from that. Now in this demonstration, I'm just going to choose something a little different. I'm going to use some of the strings that come with Ableton Live 9 Suite. So all I can do here, the great thing about the new browser, if you look at the top left there, it says search Command and F or Control and F. If you do press that, so press that and it allows you to start typing. So I'm on the keyboard now, I press Command F and I just start typing. So I'm going to type string, and as you see straight away it says all results. It starts to move through your browser. Now I know I want string ensemble. I'm going to type the whole thing so you can see it. So I'm typing string ensemble. You don't have to get to the end of it, just like searching on your normal computer. You just start typing and things show up. So string ensemble, and it's there. Now you can have individual string patches. You can have pizzicato, which is plucked. You can have staccato, which is short. But if you go to this one, which is just strings ensemble, I'll double click it and it will put it onto this. Oh, incidentally there, sorry, I just missed that. If you click it once, it'll give you a preview of the type of sound you're going for. So I double clicked it, it's opened a new one. Now this one, you can change whether it's going to be legato, tremolo. I'll let you hear them so you can hear the difference. So now if I just make this a little easy to see for you, there are my strings, and that's what it looks like. But double click it again. These are the controls that are assigned to the macros. So if you've got any kind of controller, it doesn't have to be a push, it can be anything that's got auto map, or anything that's got like 8 rotaries or anything like that. So if I play this now, you will get legato strings. And this is from Ableton's pack that comes in Live 9 suite. So decent sound. If I move articulation on the push, or just move this here, it will change from legato, which is smooth. If I move to the next one, this is tremolo, like it's being bowed. So same chords, all come from a guitar. And then you can go around to staccato, which is short, so it just plays and stops. And pizzicato is plucked. So what you will find that sometimes with strings, if you know anything about orchestras, obviously violins are more high and cellos towards the bottom and bass. So you've got to make sure that you're playing within the range of some of those instruments. But basically that's the idea for that. So there's my strings. I'm going to put them back to legato so you can hear that. So I'm just going to move that round. So I've got some smooth there. I could put the drums back in if I wanted to, see what it sounds like. It gives me some rhythm to play to. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to convert a melody or a riff. So I'm going to choose something, go for something that matches the guitar, maybe an Ozzy Osbourne riff or something. So yes, my trusty Ibanez gem there, bit dusty. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to arm the audio track again. Now I've used these, the chords I played before, I've kind of converted them, so I can use the same channel. I can open another one if I want, but it's already set up to play. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to jam around. That was in F sharp minor, so I'll just play notes from a nearby scale that sounds okay. I'm just going to jam a little pattern that will work all the way through it. So I'll just press record, and it'll start playing. So just like a riff like that, if I had a heavy metal sound on it, it'd probably sound a lot darker. So if I play that now, it should relatively in time. You can see there's the audio on the screen. And just play that back now. So there's my riff. Now this time, I've played single notes, so it's a melody, not harmony. So right mouse click, and I already know that it'll open this on another channel because I'm going to put convert melody to new MIDI track. So it'll open a new MIDI track with this melody on. So let's see how this one goes. And you can obviously, the idea with Ableton Live, especially this session view, is just get your ideas down. Just keep jamming, get some ideas in, and just put your song together, which, you know, we can do that. And I've probably done it on other demos as well. So I'm just showing you how to get this down. So now you've got melody. If I just open this more, you can see it. Melody to MIDI. Now this time, by default, if I double click it, I'll just stop everything else. By default, this opens an analog synth, just a basic sound, and you can move that into like an electric piano. You can move the mix there of which one it is. So if I just double click that, I'll just shut my inserts down so you can see. So now I can see straight away that I was kind of riffing off this bottom note, this F. So if you look at the bottom there, it does look quite accurate. So if I just solo it, so it'll just play only that. I'll just press solo there, it'll only play this one. So that's not bad, that. So if you notice that it's also took my velocity, which is how loud I played it. You can see there it's an even curve. If you tried to program that yourself to try and emulate that, it would take a lot longer. So even if when you're jamming these ideas and you don't keep the same note patterns, you may want to keep the feel that you've put in. You may accent or emphasize certain notes. So what I'll do now is I'll play that. I'll play it along with the original so you can see how it sounds together. So So what that means is now, if you've got your favorite soft synth or anything that you want to change it with, you can then put that sound onto it. So if I just open my browser and I'll change it to a bass sound, go to bass, sounds, bass, and again you can preview one. I'll try that one. So I just drag that sound onto there. So when I play it now, it will be that sound. So if I want to take the octave down, double click on it, and I can edit those notes there. What I'm doing in this case, I'll select all of it. So Control A, just like you select text on a Word document or whatever, Control A or Command A, I'll select all of it. And then I can change the octave. You can move it there on notes and drag it down, but the easiest way, if you learn your shortcuts, Shift and then down will take it down an octave. Up will take it up an octave. So try and play that now, it'll be a bit lower. So that's come from me playing a guitar. You can do all sorts of stuff. You can correct the notes if you want. It's actually not bad timing wise. If I play it with the drums, just unmute that. So I'm sure you could take that a completely different direction. You could put a house beat behind it. You could speed it up. Again, you can just change the tempo and it'll, rocks a bit more, doesn't it? So the basic idea is get some riffs down. I could go completely opposite way, and I could go back to my strings again. If I go to Instruments and go to Instrument Rack, and we'll find something orchestral again, and I'll try a flute or something, or maybe a violin or something. And you just have a look. You can try, preview it, try viola section. So drag that onto here, and then now it will be viola. So like I said before, you may have to change what octave you're playing in for that. So now this one, you can't hear it because the notes are too low for that instrument. So if I select them all again, raise the octave, and now I just heard it work then. There's only a couple of notes coming through, so I'll just change again. I'll turn the drums up. You can only hear those higher notes. So make it higher. So there you go, that's in the range of a viola. So if I select that again, you've got different articulation. Want to make it staccato, I just move that there. And I can play that with my strings from before. So you get the idea basically. I've got some chords from my guitar and then a little riff, all from just two really, really simple guitar ideas. And you can take it in a different direction. You can put any instrument on there you want. You can use Ableton's built-in stuff. You can use your favorite synth or plugin. People tend to get sort of like Marilyn Manson riffs and turn them into like techno leads and pads and stuff like that. It's totally up to you. Experiment with it. But that's just a quick way to just get the guitar stuff going. I'll just show you how you could do it with vocals. I'm not going to sing or beatbox for you, but I've got a beatbox sample. I'll just show you. So I'll start a new one so you can see what's going on. There's nothing too complicated about this. So delete all that and do it again. So what I'm going to do now is if I just wait for it to open a new one, I'm going to take, if I had a microphone and I want to do a beatbox, show you all my fresh fly beatbox skills, you can record into it. In this case, I've just got a sample of somebody doing a beatbox. And what I'm going to do is convert the audio information into MIDI. So that means the actual rhythms played will then be converted into a drum kit. So I'll show you this one really easy. I've got a sample here, a beatbox sample. If I click on this, it'll preview it. So you get the idea, yeah? If I just drag that onto there, and you can hear it. And you can do it from there. If I right mouse click, you can do it from the browser. But I like to have the original sample in place, mainly to show you what it looks like as well. So there is a beatbox sample. So you get the idea, yeah? Now, this time, if I right mouse click this now, convert drums to new MIDI track, by default, I've got it set to a default drum machine, and it'll open up in that. So I'll show you how to do that first. Press that. It converts it. Now what it's looking for when it's analyzing is pretty much a kick, snare, and a hi-hat. It's that's about as complicated as you can get, really, because sometimes it's going to be quite hard to differentiate. I'm sure that as the future, they'll make it even more complex and be able to work it out. But for now, I'm quite happy with that. So let's have a look what it's done. If I click the MIDI now, there's the basic rhythm pattern. So if I just play the MIDI, that's pretty accurate. If you look at the hi-hats there, you can see the colours change. That indicates the velocity. So like I said before, there's a groove, the way that the person was emphasizing the hi-hats. So you've taken that human groove and then put it onto this. Now that's a drum machine sound, which is okay if that's what you want to do. But what sounds great, if I'll put it on a different MIDI channel, I'm going to use one of the packs, and I love these drums because when I'm demonstrating push, the velocity sensitive, so you get a nice drum feel from them. Now this is from the session pack, session drums, and I'm going to use Big Punchy. Drag that onto a MIDI track. So this one, pretty much, you know, standard. Those guys have got things like Contact, stuff like used to having big multi-sample drums. Pretty good. You get the really... So that's on there. I could play my own beats in, but if you actually... What you can do, if you drag... if you have that already open and you wanted to just see what it sounds like by throwing your audio onto it, if I grab the actual audio there and go to just drop it on there, you see it turns into a little note. As soon as you let go, it'll say, if it was harmony or MIDI, it would say, do you want to make this into, you know, chords or melody? But in this case, it's just drums. So if I play this now, there's my loop, but this time, oh, actually, I did convert it then. If I just go back to the, because I converted it on top, it's used the different drums. So let me just stop that, swallow it, there you go. There you go. So that now is the original MIDI. Back to that. If I play the beatbox at the side of it now, you'll hear the pattern alongside. So basically from that, you've got this. So if you listen to the hi-hats, it's quite a groovy hi-hat pattern. So as a good starting point, if you wanted to start a song and you've got an idea of how to start the drums, but you don't necessarily know how to play the drums, try getting a microphone, using your desktop mic, even a simple one. It doesn't matter the quality of the recording, it's going to try and pick up those. So that's just an easy way how to get a drum beat started. There's a little bit more information and ways to sort of do that, but have a go at doing that. Just try and beatbox in it. Even if you just do the kick and the snare, the boom, bat, boom, boom, bat, it will pick up those, and it'll probably just blank the hi-hats out if you didn't hear anything. So do try that. For other audio stuff, if you've got a sample of something you like, I'll just drop something in here. Right, I'll just delete that one and go back to my demo samples. And I just heard this little synth riff before, and this is like recycling all your old samples. I'm sure you've all got massive sample libraries. You get samples off the internet and stuff like that. You can basically take something that you like, and if you like the groove or you like the notes, we think that'd sound better as a bass line, rather than sort of get the audio and try and mess around with it, all you need to do is just put your sample in there and you know, have a look at it. That's what it looks like, 8-bar pattern. Just play it. Solo that. So it's quite slow, that, speed it up. So what I'm going to do this one, it's pretty much single notes, like a little melody, repeated pattern. So it's only one note at a time. So I'm just going to convert it into a melody. So put it's a new MIDI track. So it'll automatically create a new track for me. Press that down. It's working it all out. It was an 8-bar pattern, so it's got a bit of work to do. It did repeat itself. So now we've got a new track, and it opens this analog synth again. I'll just keep that out of the way for now. If I look at it in MIDI, now I was hoping it's done this, and it has, so it's good. So what's happened, it's got a random note up there that just sticks out. So if I play it, you'll see the... on your desktop at home, you probably get a bit more real estate screen on here, having to keep moving backwards and forwards, but you'll be able to see a bit more. I'll just move that out of the way. So if I play this now, that note there, that boop. So random effects like that can come if there's reverb on the sound. It might try and listen to the reverb and create a high note. So just like I mentioned before, if I press fold, there's that cheeky little note there. And if you look, all the rest of them are on the black keys. So that one really does stand out. If I press that, awful. Press the other ones. So it really does stand out like sore thumb. So all I need to do is select that note. If I press 0, it then mutes all of the other ones along. So if I press that now. So straight away, I think that'd sound good. A couple of octaves down. So again, I'm going to highlight all, Command A or Control A, and then Shift, down arrow, take it down. Try that there. So with a bit of tidying up, you can probably make that into a half-decent bass line. And you can also quantize that. Again, I'll highlight everything. Your right mouse click, you've got quantize, and then quantize settings. I'll use quantize settings there. I'll do it to 16th notes, semiquavers, and I'll make it look at the start and the end, and I'll make it about 60%. It's not too far. If you watch the notes now, it'll just tidy up some of those notes. They just moved a little bit tighter. So when I play it now. So again, it's like recycling material you already have. You may sample from a record and think, I like it, but I don't like the last couple of notes. So you can sample it, get the original audio, and then convert it to MIDI, which gives you the option then to change the actual notes and the sound. So really, really flexible. Really quickly, what I'll show you is how easy it is to play sounds that have been already sampled. So if I just go, I'll start a new set. These are some of the great things you can do with all versions of Live since version 4 or 5. Excuse me. You can basically, if you've got the browser and you've got samples and you see a sample that you like, when you've got, I'll just open that there and see. That's like your default view. If you see there, and you've got drop an instrument or sample here. Now, if you're on an audio track, if I double click what I've selected there, first of all, I click it once, it'll preview. If I double click it, it will open it on a new audio track. If I drag it from there onto an audio track, it'll just be there for you to play. If I drag it onto a MIDI track, it'll just instantly convert it into an audio track. But if you drag it when a MIDI track's selected, just get a sample and then drag it there, it turns it into what's called a simpler, which is a simple sampler. What it means is if you drag a wave or a sample or whatever you've got onto a MIDI channel at the bottom, it'll turn it into a simpler, which now means if it's armed there, that you can play it up and down your keyboard. So if you look at this here, when I press, I'm just using my computer keyboard, the middle row. As long as that's pressed on Ableton there, you're allowed to use your keyboard as a keyboard. And you move Z to go down an octave and X to go up. So basically you can take any sample, anything, if you just drop it into this box whilst you've got a MIDI track selected, it instantly opens this. Now if that sounded a bit complicated, once you get into it, it's actually quite easy that. But the other way to do it is go to MIDI, Instruments, and you'll see Simpler there. If you just double click that, it will drop it into the first available MIDI channel. So that's a blank one. And then all you do, if you look there, it says drop sample here. So you can drop any sample. So go into my demo samples, and I'll just put the same one. So just drop it there, and then you can play it. You can adjust that sample. So if it's a drum hit or some bass sound that you've nicked from a record, you hear something really good, find the bit in the track, drop it in there, and you can just move the left and right locators, and it will only play what's highlighted. So in this case, it'll just stop there. So if you just want it to make one blip, you just hold it there with the mouse, push it down, and you can zoom in. So I'll just zoom into there. So now it'll just make one bleep. So now that's on a MIDI channel. If I double click the MIDI channel, you've got a MIDI pattern there. And if I just press a key, you can see that one there. And I can do the sort of, you may be used to just drawing MIDI in and just draw things drawing. That'll sound terrible, but sounds like some chiptune thing or something. But basically, you can turn any sound and then play any MIDI. You can make it longer, shorter, make your own tune with it. So if you're looking for sound, it's a great way to get into taking sounds and making them your own. So have we got any questions in the chat room, Tom? Anything you need to ask? Because I've tried to just get some concepts there and let you just have a go with it.
No, I think you've cleared audio to MIDI pretty well tonight.
Okay. All right, I've been asked what kind of guitar it is. It's an Ibanez Gem. It's the Gem 777.
Is it really the Gem 777?
It's a
That
Gem.
actually would have been better, because why do we need to know this? It's this week's code word. Woo!
The code word is gem. The code word is gem.
Code word is Gem. So I believe there are some special offers available on the equipment I've been using. As I mentioned before, come down to the Scan store. Do email me first. If I email any of the email addresses that you see on the video, we all read them all. But if you want to get through to me, it's simon@scanproaudio.co.uk. Come down and have a play, see for yourself, and I can tailor it more to the kind of music you work with. It's quite a challenge to cater for everybody's needs, so come down, drop me a line.
Yeah, and don't worry, if you're watching the archive, you can still email in if you're in the UK or the EU to get access to these very special offers. Okay,
Yep.
well,
No more questions?
Thanks a lot for that. No,
Right, nice one, guys.
It seems to be. Oh, have we got something that's ticked?
There's always a question. There's always a question.
Here we go. Is there an easy way to play a sample with higher or lower pitch without altering the speed?
If you're doing it using simpler, it acts in a conventional way a sampler does. To do that, you'd have to build. If you were building your own libraries, you'd have to multi-sample, which basically means when you get a piano or a drum kit, you sample them at every single pitch. It won't, as you say, match the. It will speed up as you go higher and go down as you go lower. You do need a multi-sampled instrument to do that. This is a quick way to get your ideas out. So.
Yeah,
It's not really designed
to
for
be
that.
fair, that's one of the main selling points of something like Contact.
Yeah, Contacts or
Lyon,
something.
that-
I mean, just like those strings I played before, they're multi-sampled, so when you play them, they don't, speed up and slow down. It's a much more in-depth instrument. When you're doing it yourself, you can that's what you kind of expect, because it is instant. So those are the libraries that are more established. They do take, studios full of people creating these wonderful packs for you. I mean, that's why, you buy something like Suite, Ableton Live 9 Suite, you pay your money for all these multi-sampled sounds. So we're not quite there yet. That's maybe something for the future, So is that the main idea? But if you want to email me, I'll go into more detail about that and tell you what to look for and certain instruments that will give you what you want. But it depends what you're after, really, what style of music and what you want, because there's lots of ways of layering those sounds, and I'll do that in another video, another webinar. Because there's so much you can do with this, it's ridiculous.
Okay.
Anything else?
Well, no, I think that's about it for now. Obviously,
All right.
you can email in.
Yep.
Hit us up here, webinar@scan.co.uk. Let's run some titles and then we'll finish up. Okay.
So, a big thank you to Simon once again. He's really not making that up. If you do have any questions or anything like that, you can email him. This is what he does. It's what he lives for. It's what he loves. And if you are in our area, or indeed outside the area, it's up to you. Please feel free to come down. He's here 2-3 times a week, and he'll be quite happy to take you through some of this stuff in our showroom down here. That's about it from us. We have, as we said, the special code word, GEM. So if you want to email us with that, you may very well find you get a return email with some very special pricing. The next couple of weeks, people are on holiday, various things are going on, so we're probably not going to be around. We're probably going to be back in about a month's time. In that time, if there's anything you'd like to see, anyone you'd like us to try and invite over, any products, anything that that you'd want us to cover on the Scam Pro Audio webinars, do drop us a line, and the email's right there, webinar@scam.co.uk. For now, thanks once again to Simon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks to Tom. Thanks to Matt. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to you. Bye-bye.